Gavin Newsom, in every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is the governor of this state. He is pathetic. He's a snake. He's like the slimiest Democratic politician. We keep pouring tens of billions of dollars in, more and more, for homeless services, a problem that just keeps getting worse. These people do not care about us. And at this point, there needs to be a reckoning within the Democratic Party in regard to their failures, in regard to the fact that they engage in the same behavior that they criticize their political opponents of. People lost everything.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. My second Anna Kasparian video of the week. Who would have thought, considering the amount of time I've spent crapping on her and Cenk Uygur? I got to give credit, though, where credit is due. The stuff that she did on the Procter & Gamble, that expose was great, and the stuff that she's doing now, exposing these California Democrats for what they are, is terrific. Let's get to the clip.
Let me just be clear in stating that no one in California, no one in Southern California was surprised or shocked by the high-speed winds that we were hit with last week. We knew about it a week prior. We knew that those high Santa Ana winds were very likely going to create a situation in which a fire would get out of control, right? And so fires start for a multitude of reasons. We have aging power lines and infrastructure here that has sparked fires in the past. We have dry conditions. Okay, even though we had record rain last year and the year before that, this year we haven't had rain yet. So there are dry conditions. So you have the Santa Ana winds, the dry conditions, and you also have this aging electrical infrastructure that could spark a fire. And so what we needed more than anything was to be prepared for a worst case scenario. We needed to ensure that all of our reservoirs were filled. We're now learning that one of them, the Santa Ynez Reservoir that carries 117 million gallons of water, was emptied nearly a year ago, right, for minor repairs. That reservoir should have been filled in the lead up to the Santa Ana winds. But what makes it clear to me that our mayor, Karen Bass, underestimated the fire weather is that she didn't do that. She didn't prepare, and in fact, felt the need to go watch another sovereign country's president get inaugurated. That doesn't benefit the people of Los Angeles. I don't understand why Angelenos funded that trip to begin with, but it gives you a sense of what these local politicians really care about, and it's themselves, their own political careers, and it disgusts me. Gavin Newsom, in every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is the governor of this state. Yeah, he is pathetic. He's a snake. He's like the slimiest Democratic politician, certainly on a local level. But what we have seen is mismanagement of epic proportions. The existence of climate change should not be utilized as a talking point in order to pass the buck, in order to deflect blame, in order to refuse to take any personal responsibility for how poorly this state has been governed for several years now. I am so disgusted with these people. I mean, Newsom is the governor. He's the top dog in California.
You know, you blew the whistle on the PG&E scandal that I'm not hearing anything about right now, and I can't articulate the way that you do, and I learned about it, as mentioned, from you. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about that. You have a brilliant 20-minute video that I posted on X the other day, but can you encapsulate what happened there and what role Newsom played in letting PG&E off the hook?
Well, essentially what he did was bail out PG&E, even though PG&E essentially started the fires in Paradise, California.
Right.
They couldn't be bothered to replace a $10 hook that was nearly 100 years old, and that hook was holding the power lines up. Right. So just think about that. These hooks are basically falling apart. Power lines are falling. We have dry conditions in California. And so it's a tinderbox. We live in a tinderbox right now. I mean, Newsom, of course, also can't be bothered to clear the dry brush, had cut funding for that. Anyway, but putting that aside, after the fires happened in Paradise, California, and so many people lost their homes, lost everything they had worked for, Newsom comes in because PG&E is one of his major donors and essentially bails them out and structures a settlement with the individuals who lost their homes in such a way that it's essentially tied to the value of the shares for the stock of PG&E. And so it created this situation in which the very people who lost everything because of the greed of this utility company now have to root for this utility company to maximize their profits if they are to get any money as part of their settlement. And there was a lot more to that story. It is a 20-minute video. Please check it out if you guys want to learn more.
In the comments below as well.
But it shows you that the Democratic Party, what I have noticed is that they engage in quite a bit of projection because they do love to point fingers at the inept governance of Republicans, the corruption that you see among the Republican Party. I mean, a good example of that is what happened in Texas when the privatized energy grid in Texas went out in the middle of a disastrous winter storm, and hundreds of people died as a result of that. That was also the crisis in which Senator Ted Cruz was caught going Mexico, to Cancun for vacation.
I remember.
And Democrats had no problem calling him out for that. But for some reason, they are providing cover for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, leaving us behind in order to go see another country's president get inaugurated. So if you have any fire that you're directing toward Republicans for their inept governance, I am not going to take anyone seriously if they're unwilling to apply that same logic, that same reasoning toward Democratic lawmakers, Democratic politicians who have also failed the people who they're supposed to be representing. These people do not care about us. And at this point, there needs to be a reckoning within the Democratic Party in regard to their failures, in regard to the fact that they engage in the same behavior that they criticize their political opponents of. People lost everything.
Guys, if you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for your boy, really goes a long way into helping me out. And also, if you're not yet subscribed and this is not your first time here, hopefully this will be the video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's get back to the video.
Look, I spoke to someone who left California after 2020. And she told me the reason why she decided to leave is because she realized if we were in crisis, no one was coming. Californians who do not want to build more homes, for instance, because they're trying to protect the value of their home. But listen, homeboys and homegirls, like you want to protect the value of your home. You're not going to be able to do that when the state is ravaged by wildfires that firefighters are unable to effectively fight back against because of the lack of reservoirs. So you look at the Pacific Palisades, there's been a lot of BS from the Democratic Party in order to defend, their behavior here.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, the way the pressure in the fire hydrants work is wholly dependent on the volume of water in the reservoirs. The fact that a 117 million gallon reservoir was empty certainly exacerbated the issues that the firefighters were dealing with. The fact that Mayor Karen Bass cut the fire budget, the operational portion of the fire budget, to the tune of $17.8 million was a problem. For all the Democrats coming at me and saying, no, she actually raised the fire budget. No, she didn't. She increased the salaries of the existing firefighters. She cut the operational fire budget, which is a different pot of money. And that operational fire budget was incredibly important in hiring civilian employees who did important things, like the mechanics, who would fix the fire trucks.
Right.
We have dozens of fire trucks that are out of commission as we speak because they don't have the workers to fix them. They don't have the funding to fix them. And I'm sorry, I am not going to buy for a second that we have a revenue problem in the state of California. We do not. We are the highest tax state. We pay incredibly high sales taxes, certainly in LA County. We pay incredibly high state taxes.
Yep, the highest.
Okay. And so explain to me how it is that this state can squander $24 billion on nonprofits for homeless services. Audits indicate that that money is unaccounted for. Homelessness has exploded in this state. We keep pouring tens of billions of dollars in, more and more for homeless services, a problem that just keeps getting worse. Why are we diverting funds to these nonprofits that are stealing from us when this taxpayer money should be utilized to build up our infrastructure, make us more resilient in response to wildfires? I mean, there's so much waste, so much graft, so much corruption in this state. And again, right now, the Democratic Party is scrambling because they can't blame the Republicans for this. They control the state. The buck stops with them. I mean, look, I get that people don't think that it would make that much of a difference if Karen Bass was here 100% of the time in the lead up to the fires and hadn't gone to Ghana. I disagree. I think her trip to Ghana gives you a sense of what her priorities are.
Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass, their interests don't lie in California. Anna's 100% right here. Mayor Bass, her interests, she spends more time in Africa than she spends in California. She never wanted to be the mayor of California. And at this point, Gavin Newsom, he's just navigating the waters, trying to get out of this as cleanly as possible because he wants to make a run for president in 2028. That's where his ambitions lie, not with the people of California. That is his only concern. Now, these people are in charge. The buck should stop with them. But these Democrats, this is what they do. They will blame climate change for everything. Defunding the fire department. Oh, that didn't have anything to do with it. It's climate change. Not filling up the reservoir. Oh, that had nothing to do with it. Climate change. Zero accountability and willing to take zero responsibility for anything. This has been the biggest mismanagement of a state that I've seen in my lifetime. They have taken the state that was once the richest and most prosperous properties in the country and turned it into absolute shit, even without these fires. What happened to California with the looting and the homelessness and the drug problems and the dirtiness of it, all the crime and the break-ins, the migrants, and now we have the wildfires. This is what DEI will do to you, but not only DEI, complete incompetence. It would not be hard to make a case that criminal charges have to be laid to somebody for this. Shit has to roll downhill. When you're at the top, it's like that Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. You have to take the burden of leadership and you have to take the blame. And y'all messed up. If you're the captain of the ship, you have to go down with the ship. And I would be a big fan of not giving California any funding until those two are out of office. Get rid of those two, put somebody proper in there. I'm not even saying put a Republican in there, just somebody with half a brain could do better than this. The one reservoir they really needed was empty for a year because they had to fix the cover. I mean, give me a break. If a fire breaks out, I'd rather have some dirty water to put out the fire than have no water at all. These people have let cities burn to the ground, not figuratively, but literally. And it could have been prevented, at least could have been mitigated. And if this is the type of stuff that you get, if these fires and these destruction and this mismanagement of funds, if this is what you get with the people, with these people in charge, why do we even need them? How could it be worse with them not being there? Hope you all enjoyed this video. Anna went off. If you did, smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. Catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Audits indicate